Good evening, this is Witchy Tom for the Witchy Tom Radio Show, bringing you the most maniacal things on the airwaves. This evening, if you'd like to call in, we're discussing Crazy Exs, Creepos of Craigslist, and otherwise other maniacal topics. The call-in number is area code 646-478-4906. And it's time for our favorite segment of the show, starting off with something I like to casually refer to as Wicked News. Now, in case you're not familiar, we're broadcasting from the Tampa Bay, Florida area, where, for some reason or another, the most dumbass criminals happen to live at. But here is... Today in Wicked News, according to Bay News 9, deputies caught stealing air fresheners. Woman rammed Cadillac into the store. Ooh. It wasn't a deputy that did it, but a crazy woman decided to ram her car into multiple charges. And God help me if I can say her first name. Jan Travia, whatever it is. We're just going to call her Miss Taylor because it's her last name. Okay, 2 women were arrested Tuesday night after allegedly ramming their car into the entrance of a Dollar General store and running over a manager who caught them shoplifting. Ooh. That's one way to get yourself into trouble. Miss Taylor, 22, and Jasmine Lovett, 19, were arrested outside a Radio Shack where they were trying to steal merchandise. From, says Manatee County Sheriff's deputies. Deputies say that Dale Lindow, the manager of Dollar General store at 5102 15th Street East, noticed the women in the store parking lot at about 6:20. They watched them retrieve an empty tote bag from the trunk in their black Cadillac. The women entered the store, walked around, and filled the tote up with air fresheners until it was full, investigators say. As they were about to leave, Lindow confronted them, and a fight ensued. Lindow was able to get the property back, but the women returned to their car. With Taylor driving, drove into the front of the store, running over Lindow. The manager was transported to Manatee Memorial Hospitals with significant injuries. Yeah, I bet. Getting run over by a car is a significant injury, asshole. You don't want to get hit by a car. Investigators determined that the women entered the Radio Shack and started to steal dummy phones. Then they moved to the employees-only area and went through the desk and a purse of an employee. After the employee caught them, took her purse back, the women took the phone from the inventory area and walked out of the stores. Deputies immediately detained them. The women were charged with burglary of a 2-structure, grand theft, possession of cannabis, tampering with evidence, making a threat to a public official, retail theft, resisting immersion, battery, aggravated battery with a motor vehicle, driving without a valid driver's license, and leaving the scene of an accident with an injury. Wow. Holy shit. Do you hear this list of charges? This is the buffet of somebody who's going to be doing like the next 30 years in jail. Now look, I've gotten pissed off at dollar stores, but I've never run over the manager before. And stealing air fresheners, well, that kind of cuts it to a new fucking low, doesn't it? If you have questions or comments or otherwise tribulations, go to Bay News 9, or as I call it, SlayNews9.com, or watch it on TV. It's more fun reading it because they repeat the same garbage bullshit over and over again. But at the moment, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're returning with... Well, thank you for staying tuned after our commercial break. This is Witchy Tom coming back to my favorite section, which is Creepos of Craigslist. In case you are not familiar with my show, Creepos of Craigslist is when we hunt down the most ravaging, vivacious, or otherwise disgusting things that people post in the personal section of Craigslist. This section of Creepos of Craigslist is coming from Manhattan, so we will now introduce our favorite segment of Creepos. Okay, so now this is Man for Man, Man for Man, and okay, let me just, it's hard not to laugh while I'm reading the guy's fucking title, but terrific head, 54, Upper East Side, Man for Man, avid cocksucker, having a willing mouth and a yielding throat, looking to provide an outstanding deep throat blowjob to completion. Also take pleasure in hands, of head action, and verbal direction. iOS, which I just found out, means individual singles only. I don't know what the fuck that means. Top white men, 40 to 65. I am GM, which I don't know what that means, but I am GM, 5'8", 181 pounds, dark brown hair, brown eyes, drug and disease-free. I do not rim, ... can host or travel. Please respond with your age, stats, or a picture if you have and would like to share. It's just wrong on so many levels. It's just wrong on so many levels. Hold on. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm feeling better. Okay, so you're an avid cocksucker. Well, hi, nice to meet you. By the way, I call people cocksuckers all the time. It's not because I'm a homophobe. It's because some people just are assholes, and they should suck a dick. I actually told that to a security guard the other week. He got quite mad. I said, I'm not sugarcoating it with you. Go suck a cock. Okay, so this guy right here, he's an avid cocksucker. He has a willing mouth. Hold on while I throw this in the sidebar so I can see if any of you little avid fans call. He's an avid cocksucker. He has a willing and yielding throat. It's like, oh, my God. Are you serious? Really? And the better part to that is that, I mean, he's so exact with, you know, his weight. I'm 5'8". I'm 185 pounds or 81 pounds. It's like, I don't care how much you weigh, and also more than that, you're fucking creepy. But it's a perfect description, like, you know, if like you're looking for him. And the even better part, I do not rim. In case you people don't know what a rim is, you probably don't want to know, but it means that they lick your ass crack. That's really nasty. That's what he's saying. I'm glad you don't rim, mister, but that was too much information for us to know. It really was too much information for us to know. And this has been our presentation of Creepos of Craigslist. Wow. See, we can only, and we're only doing this for the public good. Some people try to yell at me, and it's actually a person who I met like a video war, Miss Amber Awake, because she's being such a bitch. My little friend Amber Awake is this nice little girl that does a video blog. Amber Awake, you can Google her or Facebook or YouTube. But all she does is incessantly whine all day on every one of her videos. And the videos that she doesn't whine, she complains. And then the ones that she doesn't complain, she plays music. And she's a nice little girl, but you play horrible. I'm sorry. So, moving along, we're going to take one more quick commercial break, or otherwise, tribulation. One thing that we are going to roll on is if we do have any live callers today, we will pick up the phone and we will talk to you. I don't think I want to talk to anyone right now, though. I'd like to. But we'll pitch you right after the break. That was very, very exciting. Here on the Witchy Tom Show, I do try to provide you with the ability to listen to other music that you would normally not listen to. So I'm sorry. If you don't like it, tough shit. But our next segment of the wonderful Witchy Tom Show is, of course, and now I'm away from my console, so I will not be able to take calls for the remainder of the show. I'm sorry. You should have planned ahead. Ho, 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 ho. Usually I do get calls, but I just don't want to talk to anybody. I'm sorry. But Crazy Exs. Okay, well, let's roll into my own Crazy Ex stuff first, and then we'll take a generic one for fun. Now, I don't consider myself the Crazy Ex. And sometimes you do have two Crazy Exes, which is actually more interesting. I've seen two Crazy Exes at once. Let me roll into one example. Okay, I have two friends that live in Miami. Both speak English and Spanish. Yesenia and an infamous individual I won't mention, good friend of mine, that these guys got back together, back and forth 4 or 5 times over and over and over again. They would get together, they'd fight, they'd break up. Then she would go sleep with somebody else, and then they would get back together, fight, break up. This was like over a period of 3 months. They got back together and broke up 3 to 4 times. Now, I used to be part of what was referred to as Occupy Miami, in like a little camp out front, and it was so cute. One day, I'm like laying there. I went to sleep at like 6 in the morning. Well, I wake up abruptly at like 8:30, in front of Government Center, all these people walking by, but there's like a shouting match in English and Spanish, a bilingual shouting match going on in the tent next to me, and it's this couple, and well, the long and the short of it is, she took a container of urine and doused him with it, of her urine and his. And I was like, I was just happy that none of it hit my tent. But what kind of person throws their own urine or combined urine of themselves and their significant other on the significant other? That's kind of crazy. Now, from a 1 to 5, the woman was a 5 and he was a 4.5, so she would be considered the crazier ex. But there has to be that fine line draw of who's the crazier ex or not. Now, my own thing, I have this terrible problem or addiction. Somehow or another, I do not like to date people. I don't. And somehow or another, either by me contacting them or them contacting me, I am always more than anything talking to my exes. And I only have 3 exes, so it's really easy. And all 3 exes, in one capacity or another, either want my presence to, or want, to be able to, like, speak to me verbally or whatever, or see me or talk and blah, 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 blah. But I have, like, these 3 radical different forms of exes. I have one very religious Spanish ex-wife. I have one very wild biker Wicca chick who wants to see me too. And then I have this crazy mob-connected Italian broad, and she's wonderful. But they all, it's like, why? And I'm glad because all of them, with the exception of one, are 1,000 miles or more away from me. Because I've learned something dealing with exes. It's better to deal with them by phone because then you don't have to see them. You have to talk to them. It's easier not to date people to begin with because our next segment, which is disaster dating, when you get with somebody, eventually it will fail. It depends on your track record, but I've yet to meet a couple that survived more than 5 years, unless they're like old school and they have a kid. There's the other compromise in modern society. When they have a kid, yeah, I can kind of see it going, but then when they have a kid, the guy usually cheats, or the woman usually gets tired of it, and she bounces out. That always rolls this way or rolls that way. But, oh, man, it's some funny shit, though. But, hey, crazy exes. What's my crazy ex story that I was going to tell? I've already done the Countess, but, hey, let me rehash her. In case people didn't hear the broadcast, it was way back in June. I'm dating a Hungarian countess, okay? And, she's 23. I'm 19. She inherited her, grandfather's estate. This is in Mexico where I met her. I just say, Corky, my name's Rosie. Rosie Openey. Yeah, I'm a countess. Did I tell you I was a countess? This is where I developed my hatred towards the Anglo-Saxons, by the way. But she's like, oh, Corky, I'm English, but blah, 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 blah. And long story short, she's really hot. Her sister is Laura Alpeny, she's in Salt, and she's in 4 or 5 other big movies. So this chick was hot. She's like a Hungarian version of like Brooke Shields. I mean, she's a bomb. And we're talking about old school Brooke Shields. We're not talking about plastified Brooke Shields. But long and short, this girl, the only major problem with her is she was knocked down drunk. Okay, I met her by coming into La Cucarachas, which is the cockroach in Spanish. And I'm going to La Cucarachas, and I see these 2 English broads, right? One English broad who's passed out because her friend tells me, oh, it's my friend over there, and she had too much to drink today, and, she's just sleeping. I'm like, damn, look at that girl. She's, I start talking shit, mad shit, like how she's all whacked out of her mind, taka, blah, 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 blah. And there was my friend Johnny Bravo, David Burkhart, the main man. He's over in Texas, but he lives in Tokyo. And, okay, so I bounce out. And this happened in April. It comes to August. I ain't seen this bitch or heard about her, even fucking thought about it, really. Well, I'm walking down the street. My hippie friends, they roll up to me, and they were this broad. And this broad happens to speak English, which in Mexico, it's a big deal when somebody speaks English because you're not talking English. So you're like, wow, look at somebody who speaks English. And as soon as she walks up, she goes, oh, it's you. Oh, you're the one who's making fun of me when I was drunk in the Cucarachas on April 29th. Yeah, I remember you. I'm like, this crazy bitch even remembers the date that I made fun of her, But the long and the short of it, she's there like rambling on about, oh, you mean to say, fine, I live in Oxford. I live in Henley-on-the-Thames. And Henley-on-the-Thames is like the fancy pants part of like, with George Harrison, a whole bunch of millionaires and famous books have been written around, and so on and so forth. But okay, I take this girl out on a date. Now, I did follow my rule, which is don't have sex before the 3rd date. So I took her out one night, I took her out the other night, night. And the third night I took her out to the movies. I can't even remember for the life of me. I think we saw, I can't even remember what the fuck we saw. It was back in '03. We saw something that was mediocre if at best. It may have been like Matrix Reloaded or some stupid corny shit like that. But when we got back to her place, you know, it's like, oh, come in my bedroom, blah, blah, blah. I go in her bedroom, and it's two giant king-size beds back to back. Now, you haven't lived until you've had sex in two gigantic king-size beds. That's not where I'm getting to yet. But I go in her bedroom. It's like, oh, sit down. Yeah, I want to have sex with you. So let's have sex, hey? I'm like, oh. And now I'm like kind of like prudish or shyish or whatever the fuck I am. But I'm like, oh, okay, hot English broad, wanting to have sex, me think he goody, me want to doey. I was 19, now I'm 28. So, you know, my brain's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have me a new girlfriend. She's hot, she's crazy, you know, so on and so forth. Because she broke up with her douchebag Mexican boyfriend, like this Spanish kid. So obviously she was looking on the rebound, but I was like, I don't care. Let's go for it, people. So I had sex with her. Sex was great, but she's a bitch. Well, I'm having sex with her, you know, it's like, you know, blah, blah, blah. She's talking during sex. Now, you haven't lived, you know, being an Anglo-Saxon, you know, maybe they talk while they have sex, but I don't know. There's this strange thing about, like, trying to hold a conversation, like, oh, how you doing, sis? Oh, yeah, you look well, you know. They're like, you know, trying to talk to you like a conversation while you have your genitalia inside their genitalia. Doesn't that seem like an odd predicament? I don't know if other people have had sex with English people. This is one of my only experiences with an English person. I don't date Americans, and unfortunately I broke my rule once, but never will again. But, you know, I'm like, why do they want to talk? The English want to talk during sex. And this is the same girl who got so crazy. You know, I would, like, perform what we refer to as, like, oral sex on them. It's like, hey, do you mind? I like it a lot. Do you mind if I have a cigarette while you do it? She's sitting there, like, I'm going down on her, and she's smoking a cigarette. It's like, they're very strange people. They're very strange people. I'm going to conclude this part of Crazy Exes because I'm laughing like my face is, like, kind of, like, falling off. And by the way, people, unfortunately, I'm not stoned or drunk. This is me sober. That's how crazy I am. But words of the wise. Be very careful with English broads. And when you have sex with them, let me know if they do converse with you. I think it's some kind of Anglo-Saxon phenomenon. But talking while you're having sex like a normal conversation just to me feels a little strange. I don't know how the listening audience feels. Now, I went too far past to be able to do disaster dating. But Witchy's words of wisdom for today. There's so much wisdom I can give you poor little folks. So much. I'll give you one. Be careful of who you date. Make sure that they're of sound mind. And also, make sure that they don't drink excessively. Anybody will tell you that if you date a girl who drinks a lot, you're bound for trouble. And the other thing, fuck feminist. Fuck feminist hard. I'm coming out with a new thing, which is a malisto. I am a malist. But do not date feminists. Do not date bitches who drink a lot. And do not date bitches that are attached at their mommy and daddy's purse strings or live at home with mommy and daddy. You've already fucked yourself. If you want to go back to teen dating, you might as well switch to another sport. Once again, this has been Witchy Tom with Witchy's Words of Wisdom. Tune in to us every day. I'm thinking tentatively to either do it at 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Depends how many people want to listen. Next time, I think we're going to do 12 o'clock. It'll be much more sexy. Until then, if you want to hit me up off the airwaves, it's area code 585-209-0492, or otherwise call the Witchy Show when it's on the air at the number below. Once again, thank you for calling Witchy Tom, or listening to Witchy Tom, or calling him a douchebag, but whatever you do, don't think I'm your bitch. I might be a witch, but I'm not your bitch. Bring me some fucking firewood. Once again, Witchy Tom Radio Show is on every day. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/WitchyTom, or otherwise Google, YouTube, or otherwise search for us on Yahoo. And remember, Witchy loves karma, but Witchy loves...